There's a lot of grief in our society, and what Sharing Kindness is trying to do is help make the Cape and Islands a grief-literate society.
That's Kim Kelly, a licensed mental health counselor and the program director for the Rapid Grief Response Program at Sharing Kindness. She says in our world, we often don't provide space and support for grappling with grief, and that creates all sorts of ripple effects.
One of the things that people don't realize is just how much grief impacts us. We actually have a term, the grief brain, because what happens is our brain, the front part of our brain, our frontal lobe, is responsible for executive functioning skills, being organized, being on time, thinking, higher level thinking, and that part shuts down. We hear so often from people, I can't focus. I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't focus. Well, that person has grief brain.
In the aftermath of a death, the Sharing Kindness Rapid Grief Response Program comes to the workplace or the school. The no-cost program brings tools and techniques that help staff understand and handle the emotions and states of mind that come with loss.
So we do a rapid response program, and what that is when someone in the community dies, we go out to either their workplace or the school, and we provide support to the staff. If it's a school, we provide support to both the staff and the students.
Grief does not manifest itself the same way or on the same timeline for everyone, says Kelly.
So we see grief brain, which includes anything from lack of focus to not being able to retrieve words, not being able to solve problems. We actually use a graphic of a tangled ball of yarn, and each piece of yarn that you can see is a different emotion, because so often people think that grief is stages that we have to go through, and it's not. It's all these different emotions. You can have anger one minute, sadness the next, and then joy. And people don't realize that.
Within the workplace, we're expected to be strong, pull ourselves up, and get on with business. But we're still human.
In our society, we're taught pick yourself up by your bootstraps phrases, right? It's fine, time heals all wounds, you'll get over it. And even people at the top don't know how to best support their employees or their staff. And so they have a 10-minute conference call to say, hey, the CEO that you were just working with is no longer here. Or, the student is no longer here. I remember hearing a story from somebody who said someone had died and this woman was in HR. And this beloved staff member had passed away, and she had to go in and she had to post the job. And she said she felt devastated because she has to post this job that she's grieving the loss of, but she also was feeling this pressure of, what is everybody going to think of me that I'm posting her job so soon? But the organization had to keep running. So when we go into an organization, we do a mini Grief 101 and a mini support group. So it's kind of a combination of the two. So it's a safe space for people to be able to talk. What does it feel like to have to come to work now that the person that was in the cubicle next to you or the desk next to you is gone?
As a society, we don't view all deaths the same way.
So the way that someone dies definitely impacts the way that somebody is grieving. Unexpected loss can be harder at times than if we know that someone is going to be dying. But we also see a lot of challenges around what we call stigmatized loss. And stigmatized loss is things like suicide, substance use, HIV and AIDS, drunk driving. And what we find is that the people that are grieving have a lot of difficulty with their grief. There's a whole nother layer to it because people don't know how to talk to them about it. So people will actually avoid them in the grocery store. Best friends won't come near them because they don't know what to say. Then they also have this other piece where they say something that's completely inappropriate. They blame the person who died, or they say, well, they had a substance abuse problem. Didn't you know that was going to happen?
Of course, everyone wants to know what happened. Mm-hmm. And it is this weird dynamic.
It's a very strange dynamic. And, one of the things that Sharing Kindness is trying to do is really educate the public on destigmatizing some of these things.
Grief weaves itself inextricably into life, both in and outside the workplace. By building what it calls grief literacy, Sharing Kindness wants us all to be a little kinder and a little healthier as our brains walk through an inevitable part of being human.
Grief really is an ongoing part of life. We see grief not only with death loss, but we see it with the loss of a job or the loss of a relationship. So many times in life we have that experience of grief, and our society really isn't a grief literate society. We give people 1 or 2 days off of work for the death of someone that they really cared about. And we don't heal from grief. We grow around our grief and we learn how to deal with living without that person that was important to us.